Executive Master of Business Administration. It's not a long time, but I will do my best, okay, to make this as less painful as possible. Okay, now let me see what I can do. Okay, now the interesting thing about this program is the name itself. Okay, Commonwealth Executive Master of Business Administration. If you were to Google this program, you will find that in entire Malaysia, there's only one institution that offers a program with this name. It is not like a typical MBA program because it is slightly different because of the design of the program, the origin of the program itself. So I'll be going through slightly some of the information related to where the program came from, how it was created, and into the nitty-gritties of the program itself before I pass the mic over to my fellow colleagues. Now, the first question people usually ask is why do they want to do an MBA? Okay, and this is the common response given. You can actually find this in most career websites. Okay, a lot of people at this level would like to talk about what can MBA do for them, where can it bring MBA. For a lot of people, it's about getting a higher salary. Let's be practical about it. There's no point spending money and doing an additional qualification is not going to give you any form of benefit. So a lot of people look for monetary benefit from doing an MBA. Okay, some people are doing it because it's for networking purposes. Because when you come for classes, you meet with classmates or your coursemates, and you find that your coursemates may represent a different industry, and you can learn something from other industries as well to fit into your own industry. Okay. As you well know, most students who do an MBA are working adults. Okay, it's very rare for an MBA taken by a student who's very fresh, because most fresh students will find it very difficult to understand the examples used, the discussions of the content, because it is geared towards what's actually happening out there in the industry. Now, if you look at all this list of reasons people doing an MBA, we at the School of Business, what we did is that we did our own survey on MBA graduates, our own graduates and students who are doing our MBA, to find out exactly why they were doing an MBA. And this is the response we got from them. Okay, the ones in red: career growth, transforming their respective career, a better pay package, obviously, networking, improvement of the current knowledge that they have. A bulk of our MBA students do not come from a business background, meaning they don't have business degrees. You don't come in with a commerce or business related qualification. A lot of them come from a technical background. We have a lot of engineers doing MBAs. So they want to learn another area that will benefit them if they want to move up the corporate ladder. Okay, a lot of people would eventually want to become middle managers and senior managers. For them, MBA is very important. So they want to boost their managerial skills. Some of our students or candidates who have come into the program do so because it gives them a better sense of value to the corporation that they belong to the organization they belong to. So it basically boosts their confidence. Okay, and MBA does open doors. Okay, so it's a basic personal brand development. It's developing your own respective brand. I mean, it's basically like if people who are doing a doctorate, for example, okay, the title doctor enhances their personal brand. Okay, but when we ask them about why they're doing MBA in WOU, the ones you've seen in red is what they gave us. They told us about the flexibility of our program. Our program is very flexible, and later on I will share with you how flexible it can be. And we don't really have much of an age limit, in the sense that, you know, you don't have, if you are 70 years old, it doesn't mean that you cannot do an MBA. Okay, age is just a number. So basically anyone can do an MBA. Of course, you have a minimum age requirement, right? because you are expected to have completed a first degree and then to join a university to do an MBA. So of course you will be in your early 20s most probably. But that does not mean that people who are older cannot be doing an MBA. And as Dr. Ng will later talk about, all education, any kind of education, gives you a long-term investment. Is you investing in yourself. Okay. So why does the program title carries the name Commonwealth? Because the program was not designed by WOU alone. It was designed by a group of universities from the Commonwealth. Hope you guys understand what is Commonwealth. Commonwealth countries are countries that were governed by the British long time ago, historically. Okay, those are the Commonwealth countries. So we have 11 countries that got together and created this this program, and we have 2 more countries as joining this consortium of 11 countries. So eventually there'll be 13 countries, 12 other countries also offering the same program. Now the program is supported by the Commonwealth of Learning. Okay. Now a lot of people do not know what is the Commonwealth of Learning. You can Google Commonwealth of Learning, COL. It's an organization created by the governments of other Commonwealth countries. And the focus of this organization is specifically for distance education or open learning, is to spread knowledge, resources, technologies, and share them across all Commonwealth countries. Okay, if memory serves me right, there are 48 countries that are part of the Commonwealth of Learning. Okay, so out of that 48, only 11 countries right now is offering this program, and I suspect eventually other countries will also be offering the same program. So the alumni is a very huge alumni. Internationally, globally, there are about 26,000 students who have graduated from this program globally. So anyone who were to enroll in the program will be joining a huge family, okay, of MBA graduates. Now, these are some of the countries that are currently offering the program. One very important factor you will notice that this program is designed in such a way that legally it can be offered by only one institution in a country. So in Malaysia, WOU grabbed the program way back in 2006. Of course, we first started offering the program in 2008, okay, but we captured the rights to the program in 2006, and we developed it together with the rest of the institutions, and we offer it in 2008. So WOU is the only university in the country that offers this program, okay? And as you can see in the list, of course, there are other countries offering the university from the program from South Asia, including the African continent, including the Caribbeans as well, okay? We are the only university in Southeast Asia to offer this program. So actually the market is very big, okay? We have not gone international yet, but we are planning to do that very soon. Now, this is how the program looks like. Again, I'm only given 20 minutes. 20 minutes is not a lot because I can talk forever, okay? So this is how the program looks like. I'm going to touch a little bit on the uniqueness of this program versus other MBA programs out there. As I said earlier, the program is designed specifically for those who do not have a business background. So some of the courses in the core courses that you see listed is basically to give you that basic understanding of business. Like number 2, management in organization, is to give you a basic understanding of what business is all about. Number 7, marketing management. It starts with the basic of what marketing is. Not many people know if you come from a technical background or from the sciences. Okay, number 8, accounting and finance, gives you very basic accounting, basic finance knowledge. Don't worry about the mathematics. Don't worry about quantitative courses, because the program is to train you to become a manager, not an operational employee. It's for tactical and strategic purposes. Okay, it's to move you up in the corporate ladder. So the training that we provide, the training that give you, is not for you to do basic accounting. It's not to do bookkeeping. Okay, we have accountants to do that. This is for you to manage an organization. So whatever we put into the program gives you the very basic knowledge necessary, needed for you to perform better in your own organization. For those of you running your own businesses, there are enough content in this program that will teach you how to run your own business. Okay, so now, but when you look at the elective courses here, and elective courses are basically additional knowledge that we provide. It's usually over and above the basic business knowledge. You will find some of the unique thing about this program is we offer courses in areas that other MBAs don't focus on. Like for example, quality management. Okay, we offer courses that look at quality issues in an organization, either manufacturing or even services. Okay, so that is something that a lot of institutions don't look into. Corporate governance is another area that from day one we have gone into. We have started looking at ethics and corporate governance since the very offering of this program. This program has been active for 12 years now. It's been offering for 12 years now. Okay, now the one additional thing that we do that I don't think any other program out there has touched is about sustainability. Okay, there are people trying to infuse sustainability related issues into their program, but we have an entire course that looks at sustainable development and the kind of business that is needed to maintain a sustainable environment. Okay, so this is one of the cores of the SDG, the current development goals, okay, of the nation. So sustainable development goals is an area that many countries are looking at right now because of the global movement in sustainability. And we decided that this is one area that we want to focus on earlier, very much early. So we want to ensure that our students have a good knowledge, not only in business, but also a breadth of other related areas. So if we were to look at the right side of the slides, you will notice some basic information about the program. The number of courses, we have 10 core courses, 2 courses that you have to take as electives, and 1 final project. So the program has 13 courses that you need to go through. This is quite standard, okay, in both legitimate, proper MBAs out there. Okay, so the duration of the program is 2 years minimum. Okay, now, if you want an MBA that is shorter than 2 years, let me tell you something. Legally, an MBA for part-time studies can only be a minimum 2 years. It cannot be lesser than that. Okay, so if any institutions out there were to offer an MBA that is less than 2 years, you should start asking a lot of questions. Now, historically, until 2019, we have already had 2,289 students. So including this year's students, we will have about more than 2,300 students in the program have gone through the program. Now, out of that, 634 have already graduated up to last year. Okay, including this year, there will be another 70 or so graduating. So we would have gotten about 700 graduates towards the end of this year. As I said, that's a big alumni for a very young program. The program is only 12 years old. On average, we usually take in about 130, 150 students per year, and about 70 students graduate every single year. Okay, now the program is fully accredited by MQA. You can check it out in the MQA website. It is approved by the Ministry of Higher Education, and it's also recognized by JPA. JPA is the Jabatan Perkhidmatan Awam, which is the Department of Civil Service. Okay, so that means basically government employees can also do an MBA and they can get promoted in their respective departments. Okay, so that's for the technical part of the program, the structure itself. If you have any questions, you can actually ask me at the end of my presentation, or you can keep your questions until the end of the open day and then you can ask later on. If need be, just Google WOU, Google my name, you'll be able to find my email address. You can write to me directly. Okay. Now, who qualifies for the program? We have 2 types of entry. One is a regular entry, which means that you need to have a bachelor's degree, okay, before you can join the program. But of course, I mean, we are an open distance learning university, right? The operative word is open. We are open. Open in the sense that we don't want to deprive anyone of an education. We want to allow as many people the opportunity to study. right? So for that reason, even the regular entry looks at two groups of people. Those with a CGPA of higher than 2.5 and those with a CGPA less than 2.5. Of course, the difference is those with higher CGPA, they can come into the program directly, even if they are fresh school leavers, fresh university graduates. But if you have less than 2.5, unfortunately, you need to have 5 years of working experience so that you can fit into the class well. Okay, we don't want you to come to a class and study and then be lost. There are a lot of support that we will provide to ensure that you're properly taken care of at different levels. Okay, I will look at that in a short while. And then the second group of students are those who do not have a first degree. So you can enter the university through an accreditation of prior experiential learning, APEL. Okay, of course, there's an age requirement, unfortunately, 30 years old. The reason behind the age requirement is because if you are 30 years old, then you would have at least minimum 10 years of working experience, right? With 10 years of working experience, you should have the right level of maturity to be able to study at a master's level. That is the reason behind the age requirement. But the age requirement is not something that WOU came up with. It's a ministry requirement, Ministry of Higher Education. Okay, so we are also bound by the same age requirement. I guess if the maturity of Malaysians improve over time, this age will be reduced further. For your information, when this APEL first started, the minimum age for entry into master's level was 35. And then they reduced it to 30. Who knows, in future it will be 25 or 27. Okay. Now, on top of the age requirement, there are certain assessment that you have to go through. We have to assess the candidates to ensure that you can fit into the program. So for that, there is an aptitude test that you have to go through. There's a portfolio submission. Basically, the regional center staff will be able to explain to you further. But portfolio submission is basically a portfolio of your work experience, the trainings that you've gone through, your whatever workshop that you have attended, whatever that you have learned, all that put together in a portfolio and submitted to the university. You will go through the portfolio to see whether you have other knowledge that can help you with your studies. Okay, and then of course you have to go through an interview session. The interview session is a very simple interview session. It's very easy. Basically, we want to see your other parts, your personality, your communication skills. Those are the things. How well you perform when we ask you questions. Because at a master's level, presentation skills are very important, right? Although we don't emphasize too much on presentation at this level, but this interview takes care of that part. Okay, to ensure that you can talk, you can present ideas verbally. Okay. Now, this is basically to look at what ODL is. I just mentioned open distance learning, ODL. Okay, it's open and it's also a distance learning format. Distance learning format basically means you don't have to stay in campus. Another word for ODL those days, long time ago, used to be off-campus studies. Basically, it meant people don't stay in campus. You don't live in the campus. You don't walk around the campus. You don't do that 5 days a week. Okay, that's basically distance learning. So if you see the slides, it just basically tells you what are the items that is part of distance learning. Okay, we want to ensure that everyone can learn. I did mention that earlier, that we do not want to deprive anyone of the opportunity to learn. We want to give that opportunity to every single individual out there. Okay, but in the process, we also want to teach you how to become an independent learner. And it's very important for anyone to be an independent learner. Okay, so that not only doing a degree, even when you go out there and you want to learn something, you will have the right learning skills to be able to learn anything new. You will be surprised that the most satisfying learning experience is when you can learn something yourself instead of having somebody else explain things to you. That sense of achievement is heavenly. Okay, so the way we design the program is in such a way that it teaches you these skills. So you need to have a little bit of self-discipline. Let me tell you something. Students who embark in an open and distance learning kind of program, Even though when they start the program, they may not have self-discipline or they may not have good time management, eventually they acquire these skills. So the program also helps you train your time management skills, train your learning skills, and train you in self-discipline. So that's one advantage of studying as an open and distance learning student. We help you a lot, we support you a lot, but we also want to ensure that you can learn things on your own. Now, how is the program delivered? Okay, we have a series of support mechanism for you. We have course materials. You don't have to go and look for books anywhere when you want to study in WOU. We have created the text and the resources for you. Okay, now it is in the in an E format. It is placed inside the learning management system, LMS. Okay, you can Google that up as well. You should be able to find plenty of information about learning management system. It's placed there so that you can download and you can read. Okay, the learning materials that we use is also mobile phone friendly. So you can also download it into a mobile phone and read it from there. Although, of course, everybody knows that a mobile phone screen is very small. Okay, so we understand that. But there are people out there who are very comfortable reading using their mobile phone because at least they can take it wherever they go. Now we have face-to-face tutorials or face-to-face classes. Now I need to emphasize this. The face-to-face tutorials that we are referring to is based on the face-to-face tutorials as defined by the Ministry of Higher Education. That means face-to-face tutorials can be physical. That means you come to a physical classroom, you open the door, you go in, sit on a chair, the table in front of you, the tutor or the lecturer in front of you. That is a physical classroom. Or the classroom can also be online. Okay, that's the reason why I put that two picture there to show face-to-face tutorial has two dimensions. So what we are doing right now, this is also considered face-to-face because you can see my face. And if you guys switch on your camera, I can see your face. So this is also considered face-to-face. Do not misunderstand. Do not think that face-to-face tutorial means it must be a classroom setting. It doesn't have to be, but we do provide both. We do provide a classroom setting. We do provide an online class as well. The only difference right now is because of this COVID-19 scare. A lot of things we are doing online, and as this virtual open day will show you, we are well equipped to do things online. Okay. Other kinds of support we provide to the students is telephone tutoring and online tutoring. Basically, you have a learning management system, an e-learning platform where you can find all the resources and the people can interact there. Now, when I say people, you can talk to fellow classmates using the learning management system. Think of it as posting something in your timeline on Facebook. Okay, that's about it. Whoever is your friend in the Facebook can see your posting. So the LMS is like that. Whoever is in your class can see your posting. So you can ask questions, somebody will answer. Either a fellow classmate will answer, or tutor will answer, or the full-time lecturers in the main campus will answer. Somebody will answer your questions, okay? We try very hard to ensure that you're not left alone. We also have other virtual platforms that we use for our online classes. This platform that we are currently using, MS Team, is one. We also use Zoom. We also have VisIQ, Skype, and we also have video conferencing facilities. And we also use any other virtual platforms that people are comfortable with, like Google Meet, for example, which I did not list down here, or Cisco WebEx. Okay, some people are familiar with this kind of platforms. Adobe Connect, these are other platforms out there. All these we also use if it's necessary. Now we have a very comprehensive digital library. What is a digital library? I'm sure everyone here knows what is a library, right? You go inside a library, you see shelves of books, you take the book and you read. The digital library is online, okay? You can access the digital library from any browser, okay? And you can download the e-journals and e-books that we have on the digital library. And there are literally hundreds and thousands of resources out there in the digital library, enough for all fields, all kinds of programs that we offer. Even at the MBA level and PhD level, The digital library is enough to provide resources for all. Now, one very important component of our program delivery is the regional office or the regional center. Okay, like for example, in Penang, in Ipoh, in Johor Bahru, okay, in Kuching, we have regional centers in all these places. Okay, and KL as well, in all these places. Okay, and the people who are serving the regional office or regional centers are your first point of contact usually. They are the ones there to solve your problems. Okay, so please make sure that you visit them or at least contact them as much as possible, because they are the ones who will be there to help you a lot. Of course, you can go directly to the school, like me, for example, if you need assistance, and whatever I can do, I will do for you. I'm going to show this in a nutshell. This is basically what is WOU's learning model is like. And what is very important is, at the center of our model would be the students. Okay, we do not ignore our students. As I said earlier, we have course materials for you to read, to study. You don't have to go and look for other resources. If you want to look for additional resources, go ahead. But we ensure that whatever we provide is as up-to-date as possible. We ensure that it covers all angles, so that you don't really need to go and buy expensive books. Books are very expensive. Okay, trust me, books are very expensive. And I know how many students go and find second-hand books. There are plenty of second-hand books out there, bookstores out there. So a lot of people go and look for second-hand books to buy. In WOU, you don't need to do that. Okay, our library is well equipped and our course material is good enough. Okay, to cater for the needs. It's written like a textbook, but the language used is slightly simpler compared to a textbook, because we don't follow a very academic writing in our course materials. You have tutorials, like I said earlier, it could be either physical, face-to-face, or it could be online. Okay, you have digital library to support you, and you have Wawasan. The Wawasan Learn is our LMS, Learning Management System. We also have another portal called the Student Portal. That Student Portal is very important because it is the one-stop center for you. Just like the LMS. For your study purposes, LMS, the Wawasan Learn, is your one-stop center. That's where you find everything. Okay, but if you want to look for, let's say, past year questions, go to the digital library. We are not like many universities out there. All past year questions we provide. Okay, soft copies of past year questions we provide in the digital library. All you have to do is just log in and download the papers. Okay, it's all there, and I think more than 10 years of resources you can find in the digital library. As I mentioned earlier about the regional center, they are very important to ensure that you guys have a very good learning experience, and you can always interact with other learners. You see, that's why the LMS is important. That's why in some cases, there are courses where we have WhatsApp groups set up by learners themselves. Very important. Okay, you can communicate with each other using the WhatsApp group. There are people out there, what they do is they meet frequently at the campus. Now, when I say campus, the regional centers are also in a way campus, right? So you can always meet up on a Sunday, on a Saturday. If you're not working on even a working day, you can meet up in these regional centers to have discussions. There are libraries in almost in all regional centers, including the main campus. We have a big library in the main campus. You can always book rooms. You can always come to the library, sit there and chat. Okay, these are all services and support that we provide to all our students, regardless of whether you're a first degree student or you're doing our doctorate. Okay. Going to move. I didn't want to talk so much about the assessment exam, because you know why? People are always scared of exams. When they talk about assignments and exam, people get scared. Yeah, so I don't really want to mention that, but everyone is always curious about, okay, how would I be assessed? So I still need to talk to you about exam. Okay, it's just that the only difference is, if you look at the picture there, you will not be overwhelmed with exams or tests. Okay, because the way we assess our students is very clear. The 16, 17 courses that I listed just now that you saw, some courses have exam. Some courses don't have exam. Okay, and there's also a final project. The final project is compulsory. You cannot run away from the final project. Okay, now courses with exam, You have 2 assignments to do, and you have 1 final exam. Now the 2 assignments, this is our model. The 2 assignment is designed in such a way that you pretty much have between one assignment and another about 2 months to do the assignment and submit. Okay, because we have very specific deadlines, and the deadlines would be given to the students very early, even before the semester starts. Okay, the timetable for the exam is given to students, is made available, not given to students. Don't come to the regional center and ask them to print out exam timetable for you. You can actually find it in your student portal, exam timetable. Okay, please be digital. Okay, be digital. Use a lot of digital resource. Okay, so that your technical skills will eventually improve. Use your student portal or the portals that we provide as much as possible. So the timetable is provided very much early. In fact, we provide our timetable 6 months in advance. Okay, so that students can prepare for the exam 6 months in advance, you know, because you're all working adults. That also means that, you know, your exam could be on a weekday, on a Friday. You need to apply for leave, right? So we want to ensure that you have all this information very early. And I think I can guarantee you no other institution in the country does this. Excuse me. Even other ODL institutions in Malaysia don't provide exam timetable that early. Okay, so courses with final exam, you have an exam, unfortunately, 2 assignments. The exam is 3 hours, only 3 hours. So don't worry, the 3 hours will finish very fast. Okay, of course, there are a couple of courses in the program where there are no assignments, no exam, sorry. So, but for courses without exam, you have 2 assignments, and it could have a presentation.